Hey there, friends and fellow nature journalers. I guess it's that time of week again. I am Marley Peifer, and this is the Nature Journal Show, where you tune in every Wednesday to get tips, tricks, and techniques to help you get even more out of your nature journaling. I guess I can go ahead and put away this 2 million-year-old turtle turd that I was nature journaling. You don't have to wash your hands after touching fossilized turds, so that's cool. Have you or someone you know been wanting to get started with nature journaling but don't know where to jump in? Or maybe you're just a beginner and you've been intimidated by some of the finished looking and artistically polished pages that you've seen online done by some of the other nature journalers who've been doing it for a lot longer. In this episode, I share 3 tips for getting started strong with nature journaling and a motivating interview with someone who was nature journaling for their very first time. At the end of the video, I will also share something a little personal and show you some of my own pages from when I was just getting started and was a complete newbie. Are you ready for my 3 tips for blasting off as a beginner in nature journaling? All right, here they are. And this is in order of priority. So number 1, buddy up. Find either a friend, a club, or an online community. By nature journaling with other people, you are going to be so much more committed and so much more motivated, learn so much faster, and have so much more fun that you are much more likely to keep at it. So, for example, you can't have a potluck by yourself, but if you go with a club, you can have a potluck. So, number 1, either find a friend, maybe someone in your family, someone that you know who's interested in similar things, get started with them, create a date. Find a club. There's nature journaling clubs popping up all over the world right now. Or if there isn't one in your area, start a new one. More on that later. You can also find an online community. So if you're not able to get a friend or a club in your area, you can use an online community such as the Nature Journal Club on Facebook, which is a great resource. So after the number 1 trick, which is buddy up, aim low. So this sounds slightly paradoxical, but create low goals. So don't make huge ambitious goals when you start nature journaling. Start with small input-based goals, focus on quantity over quality, and focus on consistency over intensity. So, small input-based goals are, I'm going to nature journal for 5 minutes every day. At first you think, 5 minutes? That sounds ridiculously short. That's the point. By starting with a goal that is actually smaller than what you're likely to achieve, your brain at the end of that 5-minute session will have this feeling like, I could do more. If, on the other hand, you say you try to go nature journal for 5 hours for your very first time, at the end of that session, your brain is going to have this memory of a negative memory of like, oh, that was so hard, or like, oh, I didn't do it because it was too long, I suck. So by creating an intentionally small goal, you are going to be able to accomplish it, and that gets the ball rolling. Now, an input-based goal means your goal is about the input, such as I'm going to spend 5 minutes on this, or I'm going to fill 5 pages, instead of an output-based goal or product-based goal, such as I'm going to create a beautiful page. A lot of us have unconscious output-based goals, and that is a big problem. I'll talk more about that in a future video. Next, quantity over quality. So within the aim low trick, quantity over quality means make your goals based on quantity instead of quality. And that's like what we always talk about, pencil miles. By focusing on the quantity instead of the product, you are going to give your brain the opportunity to just keep practicing, keep experimenting, and you're going to learn a lot faster and put a lot less pressure on yourself. Consistency over intensity means to just try to create as regular of a pattern as you can and keep it up as long as you can instead of burning out by going on one really intensive nature journaling trip right when you're getting started. Okay, and number 3 for the tricks for a beginner blast off into nature journaling is make it a habit. So dump discipline, create a cue, routine, reward loop, and use accountability tricks. So first, dump discipline. A lot of people think, oh, I don't have enough self-discipline, or they rely on this idea that they're going to develop discipline somehow and change some pattern that they've had for their whole life and start nature journaling in some disciplined way. So don't rely on self-discipline, because you'll end up beating yourself up about it and judging your own self-discipline. So don't rely on discipline. Instead, make it into a habit. If you make something into a habit, it doesn't require discipline. And discipline is something that you use up on a daily basis. So if you've already used discipline for a diet, or for not yelling at someone, or by going to work, or by exercising, at the end of the day, you're not going to have any self-discipline left to force yourself to nature journal for 3 hours. So make it a habit. So how do we make a habit? A habit loop is formed by a cue, a routine, and a reward. So the cue would be, for example, leaving your nature journaling bag hanging at your door, or leave your nature journaling bag right in a spot where you're going to see it, or set an alarm or something like that. And that cues you for the routine. The routine is just the nature journaling you do for 5 minutes, for example, or it could be for an hour, or it could just be to nature journal any amount of time at all, fill 1 page, for example. That's the routine. And then a reward. So nature journaling has rewards built into it. So we do get some dopamine from looking at our pages that we finished, enjoying our time in nature. All of those things are intrinsic rewards, but you could also give yourself another reward, such as a treat, a cup of tea, a cup of wine for you adults out there, a little piece of chocolate, something like that, at the end of your nature journaling routine, and that will help enforce the habit loop. Now, you repeat that a couple of times, especially if you do it with other people, for example, and you will create a habit that doesn't require any self-discipline. So the third trick for making it a habit is use accountability. So you can create this network of accountability with other people. So tell people in your family that you're going to nature journal every afternoon for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, when that time rolls around the next day, your kids or your spouse or whoever might say, didn't you say you were going to nature journal at this time? Even if they're not intentionally trying to help you with your habit, they're going to know that you're not doing your habit if you're not doing it. So just by the fact that you've told other people, that will help you stay accountable. You could also have a special buddy. And if you want to take this to another level, you could tell someone that I'm trying to build this habit in the next month, and if I don't nature journal and show you 1 page of nature journaling a day, you're going to charge me $20 or even $1. The human brain is really loss averse. We want to avoid losing anything. So if you tell someone that you're going to pay them $1 every time you don't nature journal, you'll be amazed by how much easier it is to stay on that habit. If you do all 3 of those tips, you are going to blast off in your nature journaling as a beginner. And if that wasn't enough to get you inspired and motivated to nature journal, I'm going to share an interview I did with Betsy, who was nature journaling for her very first time at a field trip I went to yesterday. This is your first day, so this is Betsy's very first day. And where are we, Betsy? Can you point where we are?
Oh.
What are we looking at here?
Oh, well, these are rice fields that are have been harvested, and the birds are having a fine time eating and wandering. And there are sandhill cranes over there.
Cool.
A whole bunch of them, yeah. And they're so magnificent to hear them and watch them walk around and do amazing things with their necks.
Nice. So
Yeah.
how did you decide to come out today? Oh, there's a mosquito on your hat there.
Oh no.
It's gone.
Okay. I've been lurking on the Nature Journal site for a
Okay.
while, and
The Nature Journal Club Facebook page?
the Facebook
Cool.
page,
Uh-huh.
and thinking that would be so much fun to do,
Yeah.
but feeling really sort of reluctant to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to be embarrassed. It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be able to do anything I like, and it's going to be it's going to be hard.
Yeah, so was it hard looking at other people's, did you find it like inspiring, or did you find it intimidating looking at other
Both.
people's work on the, okay.
On the website? Both. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things people post are so beautiful
Yeah,
and so just artistically and accurately rendered, and
Yeah.
wonderful writing and everything, and the colors, and I think, well, I don't know if I could ever do that, but
Mhm.
now and then. And Jack said that sometimes he'll post these things as the banner.
Yeah, right, mhm.
So somebody will post, somebody who is more or less a beginner
Yeah.
will post something, and you can see that
Mhm.
they're learning. And when I see that, I always think, wow, maybe I can do that.
Yeah.
So it's a place to start. And my friend Martha is here with me too, and
Mhm.
we discovered that we both have been thinking about that.
Yeah, so it-
we're doing it together, and we got
Mm.
together a few days ago and watched Jack's the video about drawing sandhill cranes. It's about
Great.
an hour and a half. But
Yeah.
awesome. So we'd stop and start,
Yeah.
and do some sketching, and so that was really helpful.
Mhm.
I still don't feel like I can get a reasonable
Yeah, do you want to
likeness.
share some of your pages?
There's not much to look at.
That's okay.
Okay, these are some that I did at
It looks like you
home.
are filling pages, so that's
Well,
good. That's some getting your pencil miles in, right? Pencil miles.
I did some of this at home from the
Ooh, great. Okay.
from the video.
Yeah. There's three pieces that I think that you did that I think could be really useful for other people. It sounds like one, you found that posts showing other beginner work was inspiring. And gave you a feeling that it was something that you could do.
Right.
And then two, you found another person to kind of talk about it with.
Or to
and
buddy up with.
Buddy
yeah,
up with.
yeah.
Okay, so that's a great
Yeah.
piece of advice. And then you also did homework, so
A little
you
bit,
studied in advance before coming to get.
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
Is there any
another thing about
Uh-huh.
the Facebook page with the things people post is that even when there are some very, I would have to say, amateurish,
Mm-hmm.
referring like myself, attempts, but the comments people make
Right.
are invariably supportive, and they point out things that are really
Right.
good about it,
Yeah.
about the observation, about the colors,
Yeah.
whatever it might be.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, this is such a great group.
Yeah.
You
One
know?
thing I've noticed is a lot of times the more sort of like professional or beautiful looking finished artwork doesn't necessarily get that much like feedback or response from the group. So
'Cause
it's
we're all
actually
going, oh my gosh.
yeah. Well, cool. Is there
Yeah.
anything like if you had to if there are people out there who are also just like looking at nature journaling and not like starting nature journaling yet, is there any like piece of advice that you would give to them?
I would say don't be scared,
Uh-huh.
because this group is so welcoming
Uh-huh.
and non-judgmental and fun to be with, and
Mhm.
so yeah, and the potluck lunch was amazing.
Yeah, potluck lunches are really good on these field trips.
So yeah,
Cool.
so come on out, and hopefully
Great.
I'll be there too.
Yay! Thanks so much, Betsy. That was
Oh,
awesome.
You're welcome.
What can I say? If Betsy can nature journal, you can too. I hope those tips were inspiring for you and will help you get out there and nature journal in the field. And if you can't wait all the way until next Wednesday for the next episode of the show, here are two videos that excuse me. You said you were going to share some of your beginner pages, remember? Hold on, let me go get that. Gotta go through all of these, all the way back through these journals here, all the way back to my very first nature journal pages. Jeez, I don't know if I can share these. This might be a little bit embarrassing. Wow, look at this wonderful landscape. So this is some of you might recognize this is Natural Bridges, and you can see I'm making some classic landscape drawing mistakes. First of all, I tried using the whole page here, which you know is very challenging. It would have been much better to do small landscapitos, and I'm using colored pencil, which is really interesting. I never use colored pencil anymore, so this is back before I had watercolors, and I'm struggling to get the values right. But anyways, that's an interesting example. There's no notes, no other information, and just an attempt to make this huge landscape. Here is a page where I'm sketching birds, and you can definitely tell this is a varied thrush that I was watching, and I have a little bit of metadata there, but not the greatest, and my page format and layout's not that interesting, and this is an attempt at doing a little bit of a sunset landscape there. And these bird sketches definitely could use a lot of work. And then I just have all my text down here. It's interesting to go back and look at your older pages. Here are some sketches I did of some different plants and attempts to draw moving pollinators. And I am doing some more experimental stuff at that time, so there are things that you can learn from your beginner pages. So every once in a while, look back at those. But just wanted to share those with you so you can see how I started out. And that was back in 2014, so about 5 years ago. And you really will get better with time. So if you're a beginner, I hope this video helped you get some inspiration. And if you can't wait all the way until next week for the next episode of this show, check out these videos here.